My name is Mikko Korpela, and this is a video about programming. So, this video, in this video, I will be programming for about 25 minutes, and let's see what happens there. One thing that I want to focus on this video is that programming is problem solving. So, everything you will see in this video is actual things happening, so I haven't rehearsed it. Well, basically this beginning I have because I usually mix up my words. But anyway, the programming part has not been rehearsed. And as I said, from my point of view, programming is really about problem solving and not so much about syntax or something like that. So there's also a lot of things that are missing in normal tutorials, and that is that the system that you are working with is not real. It's not used by real users. The task that you have is well defined, etc. So instead of doing that, because I actually have an open source project that is really used and where I have a task that I would like to complete, I'm going to focus on resolving that or solving that problem, the task. So that is what I'm going to do in this video. So if you want to see what real programming is about, or somehow related to robot framework, then this might be something that you want to see. Okay, so the tool that I'm going to work on is called Pabot, which is a parallel executor for robot framework test cases. And this is a tool that I actually started working on a few years ago. I have it in GitHub. There's like 150 stars currently in it, so it's actually used by real people in real environments. And what Robot Framework is really about, it's a testing tool for acceptance testing and ATDD. And the test cases you execute with Robot Framework are executed in sequence, so one test case after another test case. But what Pabot tool does is that it parallelizes that. So instead of just working with one test case after another, it will actually execute them simultaneously. So I'll briefly show this to you. So this is actually the Pabot repository on my machine, and I'm going to make a TMP directory there and just shortly show you how the tool works. So let's make some test cases. So let's rename them robot. So test suite.robot. So this is what our test cases in robot actually look like. So robot test case. So it's like this kind of small syntax, and then I can do something hello world. So this is really short introduction, and I'm not in this task really interested about test automation with robot framework so much, more on the programming side. So I'm going to do just that kind of small test suite. There it is, and you can run this with robot. So that is Pabot test suite, and it passes. And there's some log files and report files it generates, etc. But if I have like more than one of these test suites, 2 and 3, 4 and 5. So now I copy it 5 times. I'll try to actually execute the whole directory with Pabot and dot, meaning that everything in this directory. You will see that it executes all those test cases. Let's change the test cases a bit. So that was kind of fast. So there's another command to make them work a little bit slower. So and that is called sleep. I'll make a 3-second sleep in each of the test cases. Now I have to copy them again. So okay. So now when I execute the Pabot, it then first executes the first test suite, then the second one, which is number 1, and the number 2. So, and this takes a lot of time. Actually 3 times 6, so 18 seconds about. Now, what Pabot actually does is that it splits those test suites in different processes. So when I execute the same test cases with Pabot, because I have 8 cores in this machine, I think, it actually starts 8 processes to execute those test cases. So 6 test cases go side by side at the same time, and the whole test suite thing lasts about 4 seconds with all the reports and logs generated. So this is what my tool does. And well, there's a lot of else things or configurations it does also. But lately there has been some change requests. So I have this issue tracker here, like there's new stuff about from GitHub there. Let's dismiss that. So lately I've been having or there's been some issues that people are reporting about the scheduling of those parallel executions. So let's see. There's one of the options called switch from, which actually reuses old execution results, so that the ones that last time lasted longest, the test suites, will be executed first. So this option is here. So this actually has some problems when the structure of the suites in the directory changes. So it cannot actually reuse the old reports or old output XML because the suite structure has changed. So that is one problem currently. There's these guys who have they have done excellent stuff around it. They have made a pull request even about the actual bug there. Or it's not a bug, but well, let's say it's a feature wish bug thing. So they have made some code to change the behavior so that it would work for them. But then there's a lot of things considering when working with this kind of real life tools, that you have to be backwards compatible, and it seems to me that the changes they are actually talking about aren't so much backwards compatible, and I think there might be a better way of solving that issue of those guys, and to actually make the switch from more accessible for other people. There are other issues also. For example, I think this one. So yeah, this guy is talking about basically orchestrating or making his own order about of the suites. And this is actually these both, and there's a third one I don't remember where, but these are talking about a bit of a same problem, which is orchestrating of the explicit orchestration of the test running. So currently when working with the Pabot tool, the user of the tool has very little control over the order in which Pabot will execute those test cases. And what I'm going to do now is that I'm trying to make a new feature that allows an explicit control over the running order of the suites in question. Yes, so that's what I'm aiming at. And I have, like always in real life, I have no idea how long will this take. So this might be like a series of videos or just a really short one video programming task. And I'm not all sure how the implementation will be in the end. So I don't have like fixed specification. I have just this idea that the test running must be explicit. And I've also, well, I've discussed with those guys who made those issues in the issue tracker, but I have also discussed about this task in the Robot Framework Slack with other users. So I have like now some kind of understanding of the people using the tool and how they would like it to behave, and seeing that the idea that I have currently might work for them, and I'm pretty sure it will. So, well, now I think 10 minutes of babbling is enough. So the first task is that I don't like to work in an isolation. So currently this is my repository of Robot Framework stuff here, and well, I could start coding right now, but currently I have nothing I can execute my thing against. So that is why I need some test material. But good thing is that I created the test suite.robot files, so these can be used for the testing purposes. So now let's first try to run my version of the Pabot against those directories. So my Pabot lives here. It is also shown in my code editor. So it's this directory. So it has the whole boiler. Well, whole code is almost all in the same module. Then I have a small module for a connection library, and a very small module for result merging. The Python extension is now published in Microsoft. Okay, good. And then I have an init py, which will export this as a module. Yeah, so first thing first, I would like to execute that thing against TMP file. Yeah, one concrete thing that I really would like to have in the tutorials is that the teacher makes some mistakes and has to resolve those. That makes it so much more real. So you have to use that. Attempt to relative input in a non-package. Sure. So TMP. No, come on. Yo, I'm in the package itself. like this. So now I executed my version of the Pabot. So this is the development version, and I execute all the test cases against it. So let's see that it was really this my version of the Pabot tool. So should be easily done. Yeah, this is the main file. Just writing some stuff there. Let's see what happens now. Yes, hello world is there. So this little script, I can execute my test case or my development tool against the test material. Yes. So the first thing that I think that I should do to get that explicit list is that the current version should somehow generate that explicit list instead of using the or just executing stuff. So I'm going to make changes so that the current Pabot code will also print the execution order in the way that I would like it to be. So if we go to the code, so I have this main function, which is the execution function of Pabot. This is where it starts, so it's logs some times. Then it has this message writer thread, and it starts that because everything is in different processes and threads. I have a writer thread that well, basically resolves a lot of issues with writing from different threads to the command standard output. Then I have some arguments there. I pass the command line arguments, and I start the remote library. This is for inter-process communication. And then this one here solves the suite names, and that is the list of basically the execution order. And this I would like to print as a first thing. That. So let's see. So now it's there. And yeah, one thing about the current version of Robot Framework is that, or the Pabot is that it uses Robot Framework's dry run to actually solve the suite names, which is here. Let's see. Let's go there. So if we have the switch from option, which I shortly discussed before, it will use that, but in other cases it will actually execute Robot Framework with dry run and then sneakily modify the way that Robot Framework passes its test material so that it's quite a lot faster. So basically it removes everything from tests. I'll show you that modification. Yeah, it's really creepy stuff that I do here, but yeah, because I know how Robot Framework works and I've seen the test cases, I basically rewrite the test case model so that it's faster to read those test cases into the memory. And with that, I can solve the suite names. So the thing with the dry run is that it actually uses Robot Framework's tags and other filtering methods, so I get the real suite names out of there. Yeah, it's also really ugly and still a bit stupid way to solve those suite names. So what I would like this to actually do is just use this list instead of doing this stuff that it's currently doing. So the first implementation which actually does that and works in this case is just returning everything from there as it is. If I remember correctly, this should be valid by Python syntax. Yeah, it still is. Now the list is still the same. By the way, how this is actually printed out, and which one of those switches is actually like executed first when they start at the same time, is kind of random still, because they can't be at the same time. So I can explicitly specify that I will, oh yeah, this is not the syntax, that this will use only one process to execute those test cases, and that in this way the switch will be executed in the correct order. And now it takes a lot of time. Well, anyway, you get the correct order when you only execute with one process, because when I have like 6 processes starting at the same time, well, it's kind of random which one will be executed first. So now it actually is using this list, which is the same as the previous list. But now I would like this list to come from a directory or a file. So in this case, I think the TMP directory should be the file there. There should be a file called, let's call it Pabot order tests. Pabot tests. Okay, that's .pabot tests, and this list should be the actual order. This. So what I want is instead of using that static list in the code, I want this to be in the test directory. So I want that there is this explicit list of the test cases in test directory. They should now somehow get access to there. Well, I like to go to the, so that I make the smallest implementation first that I can. So I will just think tmp.pabot test. So I will open that for reading as file. I'll read lines. So let's see what is here. Yeah. So, this is kind of ugly in Python, by the way. I can define this variable inside this scope and then it leaks outside. But anyway, that's how Python works. Yeah. So yeah, now I have access at least from this directory to this list. It's almost the actual list, as you can see. It's only has the new lines there, and well, otherwise it's already a list. So I just need to do some really small changes to this so I can get it running from this list instead of using the code after that. Basically, I need to remove those new lines. That is kind of easy. So if I have one line, I can call the strip function from there, just like this. So this here is list comprehension syntax in Python. This calls the strip method for each of the items in the line. I'll briefly show how this works. So if we open a Python console or REPL. So the list actually is like this. List. Let's call it, what was it called? Lines. So lines are like this. Now what I want to do with this is that I want to basically remove all the new lines from there and then have that as the input. So I'll strip. And for this, there's the strip command. So if I put, let's take one item. Lines 0 is this TMT test suite. So if I put the strip there, it will remove the new line. It removes, you can see the help. I think it's, yeah, here. So you can see the help from here. So strip actually will remove all the leading and trailing white spaces, etc. So that is what I'm doing, and when I'm using this list comprehensive syntax, it actually does this in place quite nicely. I actually love the list comprehensive syntax. It's so much easier than the, well, let's say this map filter blah 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 shit that you see in JavaScript and many other languages. Yeah, so let's see, line. So this would become line strip L in lines like this. Yeah, let's see if I can now make this one. So I'll return the lines like this. Yeah, so it starts from the suite 1, and then suite 1, suite 2, suite 3, suite 4, suite 5, suite 6. No, there was no 6. Okay, anyway, my time's up for this video, so it seems like I'm going to make another video because the program isn't not at all ready. So thanks for those of you who followed me this far. Let's see.